Picture this. It's 7:45 in the morning and you're already running late, and your child suddenly says, "I want to do it myself." Tie their shoes, pour their cereal, pick their clothes, and in that moment, everything slows down for a second. Because now you're stuck between two thoughts. I should let them learn. But we seriously don't have time for this. So what do? Do you step in and just do it for them? Do you raise your voice and rush them? Or do you try to stay patient, even when you're stressed? Because every parent wants the same thing. We want our kids to grow up confident, capable, and independent. We don't want them to rely on us forever. But here's the problem most parents run into. We think independence comes from being strict, that if we just enforce rules harder, if we push them more, if we stay in control, they'll eventually become strong and independent. But in reality, too much control doesn't build independence. It creates dependence. Because when a child is always told what to do, they stop learning how to think for themselves. Independence doesn't come from fear. It comes from guidance. And once you understand that, everything starts to shift. Let's clear something up first. Gentle parenting doesn't mean letting your kids do whatever they want. It doesn't mean no rules. It doesn't mean no discipline. And it definitely doesn't mean being too soft. But on the other side, being strict doesn't automatically raise strong kids either. In fact, it can create kids who only behave when someone is watching. So what actually works? Balance. Think of it like this. Strict parenting says, do it because I said so. Permissive parenting says, do whatever you want. But balanced parenting says, I hear you, but here's the boundary. That one shift changes everything. Because now your child feels seen, but they also understand limits. And that's where independence starts to grow. Here's something most parents don't realize. Before a child listens to your words, they need to feel connected to you. Connection always comes before cooperation. Let's go back to that morning situation. Instead of saying, put your shoes on right now, try this instead. Get down to their level, make eye contact, and say, I know you want to do it yourself, and I love that. We just need to leave in 5 minutes. Now think about how that feels as a child. You're not being ignored. You're not being rushed without explanation. You feel understood. And something interesting happens when kids feel understood. They resist less. They cooperate more. Not because they're scared, but because they trust you. Now let's talk about discipline. Because yes, kids still need rules. They need structure. They need consistency. They need to know where the boundaries are. But discipline doesn't mean being harsh. It means being calm and consistent. For example, instead of yelling, "How many times do I have to tell you to clean up?" you can say, "If the toys aren't cleaned up, we won't bring them out tomorrow." And then you follow through. No shouting, no long lectures, just calm, predictable consequences. And here's why this works so well. Because over time, your child doesn't just obey, they start to understand cause and effect. They start to think, if I do this, this happens. And that's the foundation of self-discipline. Now here's where independence really starts to grow. Not in big moments, but in small, everyday ones. Like letting them pour their own drink, even if it spills. Letting them dress themselves, even if the outfit doesn't match. Letting them try something, even if you know it won't be perfect. And I'll be honest, this part is hard, because every instinct in you wants to step in, to fix it, to make it faster, to make it better. But when you always step in, you take away the opportunity to learn. So instead of saying, "Let me do it," try saying, "I'll wait, you can try." Or even better, "What do you think we should do?" That question is powerful, because now your child isn't just following instructions. They're thinking, they're problem solving, they're building confidence in themselves. And this brings us to one of the hardest parts of parenting, letting your child fail. Not big, dangerous failures, but small, safe ones. Spilling juice, dropping something, getting frustrated trying. Because when you always prevent failure, you also prevent growth. And without realizing it, You send a message. You can't handle this without me. But when you step back and stay calm and let them figure it out, you're sending a different message. I trust you. And that trust becomes their confidence. Let me give you a simple example. A child is trying to build something, and it keeps falling apart. They get frustrated. They might even say, I can't do it. Most parents jump in right away. Here, let me help you. But instead, try this. Sit beside them and say, it's hard, right? But I see you trying. Then pause. Let them try again. That moment right there, that's where independence is built. Not when things are easy, but when they choose to keep going. There's also one small shift that makes a huge difference. Stop praising just results and start praising effort. Instead of saying, good job, you did it perfectly, say, I'm proud of how hard you tried. Because when kids are only praised for results, they become afraid of making mistakes. But when they're praised for effort, they become willing to try again. And kids who keep trying are the ones who become independent. At the end of the day, raising an independent child isn't about being strict. And it's not about being overly soft either. It's about being steady, calm but firm, supportive but not controlling, present but not overbearing. You're not raising a child to obey you forever. You're raising a future adult, someone who can make decisions, handle challenges, and trust themselves. And that doesn't happen overnight. It happens in small moments, when you let them try, when you let them struggle, when you choose patience over control. Because one day, they won't need your help tying their shoes, but they will need the confidence you helped build. If this helped you, follow for more real, practical parenting advice. And I'd love to hear from you. What's one thing your child insists on doing by themselves? Let me know in the comments.